Before the video begins, I'd like to give a shout out and thank you to the people on screen for supporting me on Patreon. Enjoy the video. Hello and welcome to a slightly different episode of Sega GT. This is part number 15, I believe. Yes, would be. Basically, what you're watching is actually something that's already happened, and I'm doing a post-commentary on it because I stupidly did not realize that my microphone was not being recorded at the time of me actually doing this LP. Well, these parts. Well, this and the two parts to follow. The next two parts are going to be post-commentary as well as a result. So basically, though, I apologize if I do sound a little bit different in terms of like how I'm presenting this. It's just that's pretty much the reason as to why. But basically, though, this part focuses essentially on what's going to be the Extra Class Cup as one of the first official races. And I decided for this I was going to use one of my little works vehicles, which I felt that one of my best ones was the Suzuki Sport Alto Works for the extra class. So, you know, and basically, as you see there, the entire roster pretty much just uses regular cars. Because it's interesting because there's that little bonus race you saw below there. You can actually use a works car there, and works cars will show up. I just decided I wanted to use it for here instead because I am smart. So the first track here is Sky Peak track, which means I'm not going to be getting pole position because the car, you know, doesn't exactly have enough get up and go. It's very weird how with this track, it's like the AI always tends to go just that bit fast enough where you really got to put a lot of like extra power and upgrades into it to kind of really go for it. But during the actual race, it kind of proves that you don't really need to do that. But yeah, you can see there, and as you can obviously have tell probably by now, I've just kind of cut out all like the little extra bits to kind of keep it a little more fluent and kind of reduces the time of actually getting into the proper racing and whatnot. So right after the qualifying, we just have the race right here, and yeah, as you can see there, the roster is basically as you would expect, just a bunch of regular E-Class vehicles. We got both the Alto Works, the two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. So basically, all the variants that are in the game, because mine version here that's as well. There's also the two AutoZames ones. They're both the same because it's the only color in the game for that, as well as a Subaru Plio RS that's back there because it was slower than my car around here, the qualifying lap. And you'll notice too that these official races here, at least here in the extra class, are only 2 laps, so it's not particularly very long, especially with a track like this, one of the shortest tracks in the entire game. I think it is the shortest, in fact. It basically means that it's not going to particularly take very long to get through all of these. So yeah, basically though, I decided the reason I wanted to use the Alto Works was I thought, why not finally break out one of my works cars, which I hadn't really used since I had gotten them from the licenses, and I wanted to see just how I would fare with one of the official races and whatnot. So, you know, it's one of those things. So basically, you can kind of see it there. Even though I was like 5th to start, I easily passed all of them during the actual race to get a rather easy win for the actual race. So, hooray! And with that, you get your little first place. I should mention you also get a qualifying bonus of 1,000 if you get pole position. You won't be seeing that screen because of how I've done this up. But you get 3,000 for winning and $700 from all your sponsors. So if you have all of them, you'll basically make as much money as you can from your sponsors as a result. Of course, there's other ones where they'll pay you more, but we're not quite there yet, so that'll have to just come in due time. So the next one, though, we go from Sky Peak track to Sky Peak Hill. Now this one is, you know, a lot more of a better one because that's one you don't, even though there's some, well, it's mostly still a speedy bit. There are, like, you know, all the corners and such. I did end up losing a bit of speed there because I cut the corner just a little bit too much. So don't do that. Don't be a me. But the rest of this is, you know, fairly pretty simple because, you know, I've done this track multiple times, and, you know, even though I bounce off walls and everything, it is still kind of one of the fastest ways to do it, so. And again, turned in a bit too much there. But it's, as you can kind of tell, I'm already getting to the straightaway section, and by the minute point, I'm already fairly close to the finish line, so even with all those little mistakes, I still at least got better than the fastest lap, which nets me the pole position, and I would have, even if I had just missed it, I probably still would have gotten pole, because as you can see there, second place's time was a 1:09. So into the actual race. Basically, we will end up... wait, no, I was wrong. There is one there, because I guess four-wheel drive, and this one just spins its wheels, even though it's also four-wheel drive, I think. Is it? I don't even remember now. Might actually be the two-wheel drive version, I just can't remember, because I didn't pay attention when selecting it. And also because my memory is as good as well, it's as good as, a goldfish. Even though I'm pretty sure goldfish have better memory than what's cliched for them to. I don't even remember. I'm pretty useless at remembering things. Whatever. I don't even really know what I'm going on about at this point. But basically, just, you know, again, same sort of deal. Just easily getting by this without much of a hitch at all. This was a better lap than my qualifying lap, I think. Although it doesn't say so in the lap, it kind of felt like it. But yeah, whatever. I like how I say that, and then the lap time shows up, and it was worse. I'm like, Jesus Christ! I guess my memory really is going bad. Worst part is I only recorded this a couple days ago. This would have been out yesterday if I had actually reminded myself to record the commentary, but usually sometimes when that happens, I'm just sitting there in my head like, oh, I don't want to have to do this, but I have to do it because I don't want to, and I don't want to end up putting out a part that just has like no, you know, that just ends up having no commentary. Have I actually done that? I don't think I've done that. No. I think I might have at one point accidentally uploaded a part without game audio? I don't even remember. I don't remember. It's been too long ago now because, you know, 3 years of doing this and whatnot, and you lose track of many of your LPs because my mentality is once I get it out, I get it out. I don't even really look back at it. It's one of those kind of things where it's been sitting there and I haven't really watched it since because, you know, it's kind of weird to look back at a lot of my old stuff as a result, so because I like to think forward rather than behind. Yeah, another first, $3,000 and a $1,000 chain bonus because I won the last race. And the last track is Night Section A. So we go, you know, the longest track of the three. I think this is the first time I've done Night Section A and an E. Actually, no, I don't even remember. No, I'm not going to say that anymore because I'm probably wrong again, too. So I'm starting to think that just when I've not been up for very long, I need to, like, properly bring myself down to level and just analyze everything. But whatever. What I do know, of course, the fact is, you know, stuff like I think I might have mentioned this before, but I can't remember. But I was playing some of the other versions of Sega GT, like the other regions. One thing I noticed about the Japanese version is, you know how in this game you have all those like Dreamcast banners. In the Japanese version, it actually has the swirl, like the little logo swirl. I don't think it's in any other version. I thought it was in the North American version, but I think when I checked it, they took it out. I find it kind of interesting that they didn't just decide, oh, we'll just we'll just paint the swirl the color of what it is in the region that it's sold in. Because technically, in every region, it's a different color. Everyone thinks the Japanese and the North American one is the same swirl, but it's actually not entirely the case. In Japan, the swirl is like orange. In North America, it's more of a red. Like a dark tint of red. And then, of course, in Europe, it's blue because in Europe, there's a German company still around, I think, that has the Dreamcast swirl style in that color. So the European division of Sega basically is a way to kind of avoid like any kind of legal issues or any sort of major trouble. They just decided, we'll just paint the swirl blue. I'm genuinely actually, the more I think about it in hindsight, the more I'm surprised they didn't just do that for all of them, because blue is, blue is the kind of the color that people think of when they think of Sega, because the Sega logo being blue, and their mascot Sonic the Hedgehog, blue character. So I'm just surprised that they didn't just have the blue swirl everywhere as a result. Looks better, to be honest, but whatever. I guess what can you do? In fact, if anything, maybe thinking about it, that might have been why because I know the Dreamcast, they didn't, because of the, they had that early success with like the Genesis / Mega Drive, and then they kind of had that misstep with the Saturn. Well, not quite with Saturn. There was first the CD, which was reasonably okay sales-wise, but people kind of really tossed it aside very quickly after a little while. Then the CDX, which no one remembers, because it was in such few units. Then the Nomad, which is basically a portable Genesis, which didn't last very long at all. It was very ahead of its time, but not particularly something that even that a lot of people recognize. And then the 32X happened. That was just a disaster from the start. And then the Saturn happened, Saturn was good, but was plagued by the fact that it was launched earlier than it probably should have been, and third-party companies were, they kind of were a bit pissed off, and then Sega decided to announce the Dreamcast only a few years after the Saturn launched, and Sega was just like, okay, you know what? We're gonna launch the Dreamcast, but we're not really gonna promote ourselves that much about it. That's why with, I think on the original Japanese box, you don't really note Sega being mentioned anywhere. And it's also why as well, with the Dreamcast, I think on the, even the North American and European boxes, the Sega logo is not actually present. I'm sure it's present somewhere. I'd have to look at pictures of the box again. But, because of the whole thing that had been going on with them around that time, I think they wanted to kind of, lure people in more for the console itself rather than the brand, so they didn't really show Sega all that much. In fact, I'm pretty sure the only bit of Dreamcast that I know that has the proper Sega logo is on the console itself, as well as the little splash screen. But yeah, but they definitely try to do that. I guess to try to get people off that image, but of course it was all for not a whole lot. But we did win this year with the total time and fastest lap, so very easy win. Another first place, which means another 3,000, and a chain bonus of 2,000, because that's 3 race wins in a row. You already know how that works. So, clean sweep with a whole 27 points. There's all the other points there. Didn't really bother to go through it this time. So a 15,000 champion bonus prize, and we get ourselves the premium car, which is a Suzuki Cappuccino in orange, like a nice mango orange. There is technically a second car that you can unlock here, but I have done this, I think, 2 or 3 different times, and I've just always gotten the Cappuccino, so I'm not quite sure what the criteria is to unlock that other car is. But in case you're curious, what it is it's actually another Honda Z Turbo. It's not the same one I got before. By the way, that's just to show it's a special color, because you can only get the Cappuccino in red normally. It's not the same one that I unlocked earlier, which is an orange one. It's actually a second special color Z Turbo in, I believe, green. It's a green Z Turbo, because usually the colors you can get are blue, red, black, white, and silver. And the reason I know it's green is because I entered it, the Z Turbo I had, into a one-make race, and the green one showed up. That's how I knew. So yeah, stay tuned for the next part, though, in which we're going to be tackling the Extra Class Special Race, which is only one simple race around Reverse Night Ground, so it's not going to be a particularly very long part. It's for works cars and original cars, and whilst I could just use my Ultraworks again, I'm going to bring out the Reland for one last run. So stay tuned for that, and thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to hit the like button, and hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see content similar to this one. You can also come follow me on Twitter, check out my Twitch for my live streams, or come support the channel on Patreon. That's all in the description box down below. I will see all of you on the next one.